Demarcus Jones. History. Knowledge. Yeah, the truth is here. Black history was a mystery. I mean, it never really made no sense to me. Like who we were before slavery, how we got here, how we came to be, or what the strategy, about the powers that be. Erase the facts that we were kings and queens, but now the cats and I, they were magical. Everything we touched turns them to gold. Demarcus Jones, Demarcus Jones, Demarcus Jones. The calendar won't get it wrong. Demarcus Jones, Demarcus Jones, Demarcus Jones. Originals, we don't need a clone. Demarcus Jones, Demarcus Jones, Demarcus Jones. Black history, you can learn at home.
Chapter 6. This is why you are so confused.
This time, I was inside a big, beautiful building. The ceiling was taller than any ceiling I had ever seen before, and it was decorated in so many beautiful colors. There were long hallways lined with huge decorated columns. Every space in this building was decorated with symbols, pictures, and bright colors. The air even smelled like perfume and candles. I didn't see anyone, so I decided to walk around the huge building. I felt like I was in an important place, like the White House. But this building seemed larger than the pictures that I have seen of the White House, so this couldn't be the house that President Obama lived in. If someone lived in here, they had to be very important. I was so focused on looking at the symbols and colorful stones along the walls of the buildings that I didn't notice the man standing at the end of the hall. "Hello, Demarcus," he said. I jumped. I didn't realize that he knew my name. This man didn't look at all as mean as General Barca did. He began to walk toward me. He wore a large white crown with something that looked like a bird on the front of it. He wore a long skirt and had really dark eyes and light brown skin. He wore a huge necklace around his neck with many layers of gold and other jeweled colors. I became less worried because he looked like a really nice man. Upon closer inspection, I noticed that this wasn't a man at all. He was a woman. A woman who looked a lot like my mom. "Mama?" The lady began to laugh. "No, Demarcus, I am not your mother. I am Bakari, but I am better known as Hatshepsut." "Hatshepsut?" I asked. "No, Hatshepsut," she said really slowly. "Oh, hello, Hatshepsut. Can you tell me what year this is?" "Of course. You would better understand it as 1,469 years before year 1. 1469 BC? I asked. "Yes, 1,469 years before your so-called common era." "Wow, this is way before General Barca." "Who?" she asked. "You wouldn't know him yet because he isn't born for another 1,200 years. I looked at all of her clothing and around the huge room. "You look like an Egyptian." "I am indeed from Kemet, or your Egypt, as you say. This is my land, and I am supreme ruler." "But you are black." "We are black, Demarcus. Why would anyone be any different?" "Egyptians are a different race. I've seen the pictures of them in books, and I've learned about it in history." "What are they teaching you?" She began to walk, and I began to follow. "Here we have learned and taught all of our history, math, and science, and I could never imagine that all of this information that I've learned is not true." Hatshepsut had a shocked look on her face. "Oh, Demarcus, this is why you are so confused. This is why you have been able to use the solar calendar to summon someone like me from so long ago, to show you the path that you know nothing of." She took me into a room and began to show me sheets of stone that she called stelae. "You see, Demarcus, my great-grandfather defeated the shepherd kings from the east. Those foreigners did not look like you or me. They were invaders." She showed me slabs of brick, as if they explained what she was saying. I don't think she realized that I couldn't understand the symbols on the bricks. She continued. It was a long, hard fight, but we finally drove out the foreign Hyksos and rebuilt a lot of temples and monuments that they destroyed. I learned over 400 years of history of my people by the time. I was your age, Demarcus. What have you learned in your place of learning? I've learned a lot. I know that, You will learn a lot with the solar calendar, Demarcus. You will not go on a false image of your ancestors. I will not allow it. King Hatshepsut had a very serious look on her face. It scared me. Maybe she wasn't so nice after all. I think she was meaner than my mom. Don't be alarmed, Demarcus. She continued to walk, and I continued to follow. We walked down another long hallway, and there were pictures and sculptures of her everywhere. You must be pretty important, I said. She stopped walking and turned around. I am King Hatshepsut, she proclaimed. I am the living horse of the north and south, the son of the sun, the Ka-Ma-Ra, the horse of gold, the conqueror of all lands. This is my land, she said. You are king? I asked. I am thee, she exclaimed. I thought it was rather odd for a woman to call herself king and not a queen. We went outside of the building and looked across the bright green grass and tall trees to see men raising a really tall, slender stone. King Hatshepsut said that the stone was cut from a large piece of granite and was called an obelisk. The obelisk looked just like the Washington Monument. There were more symbols, or I guess now I better know these symbols, writings in a different language on the obelisk. King Hatshepsut and I watched as the stone was settled into the ground and drawn up into the air. She said the name of the place behind the obelisk was Lepetsu Aman Temple, and this was a place of worship for their god, Aman. At first, I thought she was saying amen, like what I said at the end of my prayer, but she made sure to explain she praises Aman only. This was just like a movie, because I was standing next to the king. Yet, there was another King Hatshepsut near the obelisk, and she began to celebrate with her people. The other King Hatshepsut had on the same long skirt, but the crown she wore was wider than the long white one, and there was something that looked like a snake in the center of it. She also wore a braided beard, while the King Hatshepsut next to me didn't have a beard. The outfit that the other king wore reminded me of King Tut, so I couldn't help to ask, "Do you know King Tut?" "No, I do not," she replied. "He must have been born at a later time, like General Barca." I continued to look in the direction of the obelisk. The obelisk was then covered with a shiny metal. I believe this was either silver or gold, or maybe both. The other King Hatshepsut spoke to the people. Everyone was quiet, and when she was done, they all began to celebrate. Many gifts were brought to the obelisk, even by the king. The celebration looked like fun. I wanted to join the people. But then I remembered that I was just an observer, and entering the movie was not an option, but maybe I could get a closer look. Just when I gathered enough courage to ask King Hatshepsut to move closer to the party, she looked at me and said, "Let's go."
On the next chapter of Demarcus Jones and the Solar Calendar Animated.
When Sinmut finally reached Punet, he was greeted by many people who looked very similar to the people from King Hatshepsut's land. "I want to go party," I said with a really big smile. "Can we go?" Remember, Demarcus, you are watching a movie, so you are not actually able to join in. If I was watching a movie, why am I not watching it in my room?